Never forget where you come from. If there is someone who perfectly illustrates this sentence, it's him, Achraf Hakimi. Coming from a very modest family who had to deprive themselves of many things, Achraf Hakimi is today a star of world football. Considered by many football fans as the best fullback in the world, vice-captain of PSG, captain of Morocco, and possibly one of the greatest Moroccan players in history. In short, nothing in his childhood suggested such success at only 26 years old. Yes, all this at only 26, idol of an entire country. Idol of an entire people, he convinces everyone, but none of this happened by chance. Sit back comfortably from poverty to glory. Here is the incredible story of Achraf Hakimi. He came from very far, young Achraf. He was born on November 4, 1998, in Madrid, but his roots are not Spanish, but Moroccan. His parents, Saida and Hassan, originally from Morocco, immigrated to Spain in the 1980s in hopes of a better life for themselves and their future children. However, life remained hard. They settled in the suburbs of Getafe to raise their children. The father worked as a street vendor while the mother cleaned construction sites. Despite the hardship, they worked hard and made huge sacrifices to offer the best to Achraf. And that he would always remember. From the moment he learned to walk, Achraf never knew how to stay still. He was a ball of energy, and his mother encouraged him to do sports to use up his energy. She first suggested judo or swimming, but he had only one idea in mind: football. He was so passionate that he very early told his mother, "Mom, I'm going to be a footballer." He spent his time playing in the streets and was already shaping qualities such as speed and technique. His parents enrolled him at 6 years old in a small local club in Getafe. In less than a year, he was already impressing the biggest clubs in Spain during tournaments with his speed, technique, and stamina. He never stopped. In 2006, at a time when letters were still common, his father found in the mailbox an envelope bearing a special symbol, that of Real Madrid. Achraf had been on the radar of Los Merengues since he was 7 years old. When his father told him that Real Madrid was inviting him for a trial, Achraf first thought it was a joke, but it wasn't. Far from it. And at the trial, he confirmed the recruiter's thoughts. He was well above the rest, even though at that time he played as a striker. Hakimi therefore joined Real Madrid at 7 years old. He was living his dream. Achraf was more motivated than ever. He wanted to fight for his dreams and for his family, to take them out of poverty. His parents, seeing his potential, worked even harder. His father spent even longer days as a street vendor, and his mother cleaned even more houses to buy her son's boots and support him in the best possible way. Achraf focused on football, and quickly the Real Madrid youth coaches moved him back on the field. He started as a striker, then as a midfielder. But the coaches, observing his speed, his strength in duels, and his understanding of attackers, saw him rather as a full-back, and that would become his position for life. He continued to progress, worked very hard, and from afar observed his idol Marcelo. He too had arrived very young at the club and became a legend of Real Madrid. But Achraf also observed stars from his parents' country, Morocco, like Noureddine Naibet or Marouane Chamakh, whom he admired. And with Achraf's performances at Real Madrid Youth, the Spanish national team became interested and even invited him for trials. But he didn't feel at home. Raised in Moroccan culture through his parents, he said no to Spain, later declaring even with a Spanish passport, they will always see an Arab name and a Moroccan face. At only 16 years old, he was called up for Morocco's U20 national team. Everything started to accelerate for Achraf. His good performances in the UEFA Youth League caught attention, and he was sometimes called up to Real Madrid's reserve team. That convinced Morocco's coach at the time, Hervé Renard, to call him up to the senior team at not even 18 years old. On October 11, 2016, his first cap for Morocco in a 4-0 victory against Canada. And the positives continued. Real Madrid coach Zinedine Zidane called him several times to train with the pros alongside the greatest players in the world. And as people say, one man's misfortune is another man's fortune. An injury to Carvajal allowed him to make his debut and show his talent. He impressed everyone, especially Zidane, who knew him well since his son and Achraf had played together. With the number 19 shirt, Achraf burst onto the international scene. He played several La Liga matches and 2 Champions League games, winning with Real Madrid their 13th Champions League. He also received the medal, even though he didn't play the final. Shortly after, Achraf learned that Carvajal would return the next season and that Zidane, who had trusted him, was leaving Real Madrid. The Moroccan therefore sought playing time elsewhere, and what better than the 2018 World Cup with Morocco to attract clubs during the transfer window. And despite Morocco's elimination, Achraf played very well in the competition. Borussia Dortmund coach Lucien Favre became interested, and Real Madrid agreed to loan the Madrid-born player for 2 years. At 20 years old, he left Spain for the first time, arriving in a country where he didn't know the language or the culture. But no problem for Achraf, he impressed immediately. Scoring in his first league match, 3 assists in his first Champions League game, he was unstoppable. Everyone was impressed by his game, his qualities, but also by his humble, respectful, hard-working attitude. Fans adored him, and football fans saw a new star emerging on the European stage. Hakimi had made a name for himself. The following season was just as successful. He stood out especially for his speed, having been clocked at 36 km/h. Yes, 36 km/h. He was also involved in 15 goals in 33 league matches. The Moroccan convinced everyone in Germany, but after his 2-year loan ended, Dortmund couldn't meet Real Madrid's $40 million asking price. That didn't stop Inter Milan, who paid the amount to sign Hakimi. He perfectly fit coach Antonio Conte's system as a right wing back in a team built to finally end Juventus domination and win Serie A. A new language, a new culture, but again, no problem for Hakimi. And despite a poor Champions League run, Inter dominated Serie A and easily won the league, with Hakimi at his best level. 10 goals, 7 assists, and he established himself as one of the best fullbacks in the world. But his Italian adventure lasted only 1 season. With such strong performances, PSG targeted him, and Hakimi was interested especially since the club had just signed Donnarumma, Sergio Ramos, and above all, Lionel Messi. PSG spent $70 million, making Hakimi the most expensive Arab player in history. But he arrived somewhat in the shadow of those 3 signings. Yet it was him who left the strongest mark. At only 22, he began his PSG career brilliantly and showed French fans the qualities he had displayed abroad. An undisputed starter at right back, he delivered consistently and decisively. He was happy in France and at the club, all the more so because he found a great friend in Kylian Mbappe. Same age, same passions, same interests. They shared everything, even visiting an orphanage in Morocco together. On the pitch, Hakimi won League One in his first season, but was eliminated in the Champions League against his former club and Karim Benzema. Same disappointment with Morocco, eliminated early in the AFCON. But this forged him. Soon after, a new coach arrived from Morocco, Walid Regragui, who relied heavily on Hakimi for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Morocco weren't even favorites to make it out of their group with Croatia and Belgium. Yet Hakimi and his teammates shocked the world, finishing first in the group of death. Then in the round of 16 against the mighty Spain, feared for their domination, Hakimi and the team pushed them to penalties. After goalkeeper Bono's heroics, Hakimi had the match ball and with a Panenka, celebrated in the arms of his mother who had always supported him. In the quarterfinal, it was Portugal. Again, Morocco delivered a historic 1-0 win, reaching the semifinal, the first African team ever. They lost to France and his best friend Kylian Mbappe. But despite the elimination, Hakimi and Morocco illuminated the world. Sadly, soon after, off-field issues tarnished Hakimi's image. Accused of rape, placed under investigation. A 24-year-old woman accused him of assault. Hakimi claimed it was blackmail and extortion. Added to this was a difficult divorce from his wife, with whom he had 2 children. These troubles weighed heavily on him, and his performances declined. But after such an emotional World Cup and personal struggles, it was understandable. The following season, with Messi and Neymar leaving, Hakimi took on greater responsibility under coach Luis Enrique, who greatly valued him. He became a true leader in the PSG squad, despite not being there for long. And it showed in the stats decisive with goals, assists, and crucial defensive actions. He helped take PSG to the Champions League semi-final, unfortunately lost against Borussia Dortmund. Another League One title followed. While many international stars went on vacation, Hakimi instead chose to serve his country at the Olympics. PSG gave him permission, and as captain of Morocco's young team, he led them to a historic bronze medal. Once again, through his goals and his performances, he proved himself. He returned to PSG after short holidays, having preferred to serve his nation rather than rest. But this time, without his best friend Mbappe, who had gone to Real Madrid. Yet Hakimi once again stepped up. Vice-captain of PSG behind Marquinhos, he imposed himself as one of the best, if not the best player in the squad. Luis Enrique made him one of his key men, and it showed on the pitch. Already 10 goal contributions in League One this season, 6 in the Champions League in only 12 matches. And remember, he's a right back. We had never seen a right back this good. And that's not me saying it, it's his coach Luis Enrique. If you say that right now, he is the best right back of all the players I have ever met, it's true. I have never met a better right back than him. And remember, he's only 26 years old. At 26, he already has 83 caps. He has played in 6 major international tournaments with Morocco, always as an undisputed starter. And he is also irreproachable at club level, performing at an exceptional level with PSG as a true leader. But do you know what Hakimi says is his greatest pride? His family. As he explained in an interview with Anas Bach, his dream was to become a footballer so that his family, who had done everything for him, would never lack anything. Especially his mother, whom he describes as the boss of the house, who sacrificed so much for her son. And that, Achraf never forgot all his life. This was the story of Achraf, a kid from tough neighborhoods, from a very modest family, who became a world-renowned player inspiring countless young people. Proof that when you want, you can. This was Clash Zone. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. It's super important for me. And with that, I'll see you very soon, friends.